What is it, like a Ford Mustang? Like, what is this? It's a donkey. It's not even a horse. You know what a Mustang is?
That'd be really.
It's a horse. Hello, guys. Welcome back to the Two Latin Brothers podcast, the podcast where we talk about entertainment and our lives, brought to you as a day-by-day comedy. I'm Victor.
And I'm Adrian.
We're back at it again with another not vlog, and if you've clearly noticed, we haven't had React Mondays or vlogs
For a while now.
for quite some time. We're
on hiatus.
We're on hiatus. It's been my break week.
He's literally been taking a
I
break.
just got out of midterms.
No. Okay, look. You've just really been on break.
Yeah,
You've really been like resting and recuperating,
sleeping,
getting back into the.
kind of.
I mean, like it's been a recovery time, shall we say? Although it hasn't been for me, but it has been for him.
Yeah.
It's been interesting to see the fact that I was like, oh, we should record this, because you're a break. We're like,
Yeah.
oh, we're gonna record like every day.
Yeah, I know.
Didn't record
It didn't
once.
Happen. It didn't happen. Well, kind of. I did some recording.
Yeah, but it was different, Anyway, how I mean, we know how your week was now because you're on a break.
Yeah.
So it can be like, how was your week? Because we now know.
Well, there's a few things we did.
Okay, sure. What do we do?
We went out a lot.
Yeah.
Where?
Where did we go?
Restaurants.
Wow. Yeah.
I mainly ate.
Yeah.
To be honest with society. So yes, I did put on an extra 15 pounds and.
That's not how that works. That's not how that works.
So to answer everyone's question, okay. There's no question. So to answer your question, my week's been pretty much a week where it's been filled with us going out to eat food, try food, none of which we filmed for a vlog, which would have been a somewhat good idea.
Yeah, we didn't do any, like we haven't walked around with the camera in our hands.
Actually, we went downtown.
Yeah.
Not this week.
Last week.
Last week. And it was pretty interesting because normally when we're in downtown,
every time we're downtown now, we walk around with the camera in our hands. Mm-hmm. And for the first time in a very long time, we were walking around downtown and
without a camera.
We were just like, weird. Should I be vlogging this? Like, what? Yeah, pull out my phone.
And here's the thing: even when I went to downtown without you, I was on a field trip, with a camera,
So it's just. It feels odd.
It feels odd to be in downtown without a camera now.
Yeah, it's just odd. I mean, it just became habit now.
Yeah.
Now I gotta go down. Let me pull out my camera. Just set up the gimbal.
The scenic shots. That's why.
Yeah, it's very scenic. I mean, also, the city we live in is also very nice. So it works well when you want to do a cinematic shot.
Yeah.
It's almost as if the architect for the city had these sort of shots in mind. When he was building, when he was designing the city, even though they didn't really have a design, they just kind of built, and then it just slowly turned into something.
Okay.
Thanks for agreeing with me on that.
You're welcome.
It's very nice of you.
To be honest with you, I zoned out for like a quick second. Okay, let's do a recap to what happened before we got here. Okay, so there's a few things we did before we got to this stage where you're seeing us right now. So we have just finished skating.
Yeah.
After skating, we decided to put on a few more pounds after losing a bit of weight.
Great.
So we went to KFC.
Yeah.
Had some chicken.
Yeah.
Tried their crispy 4-piece whatever thing.
Yeah. That would have been another video we could have made.
Yeah, that could have been that entire trip.
Yeah.
Could have been a video.
Yeah.
It wasn't though.
Yeah.
Mainly it's a public space. Well, it's a public space, so technically I could.
You can record in there. I could
film there. Second, we just didn't have the camera, so we just didn't film. Also, there was quite a few things that we did. Well, no. There was 2 things we did after the skating. We went to KFC. Well, first off, we walked to the skating rink.
Right.
The back door didn't open for us, so we're like, okay, we're going to walk to the front. So we did like a whole loop around. And after we skated, we realized we're really bad at skating because, we are Canadian. We were born and raised in here.
Yeah.
But we never partook in that part of the Canadian culture. So we're Latinos that are Canadian.
Okay, anyway, so yeah, and then we had to walk home.
Yeah, and we also stopped at a Shoppers Drug Mart. If you don't know what that is, it's your
It's like a
local
pharmacy.
pharmacy / grocery store /
You know-
convenience store / where you can get your drugs. So after we were there, we then walked home, and then we came in. We sat down, and then we're like, wow, we're really winded. And we're like, yeah, so what are we going to talk about? I don't know. Okay, just click record. And now we're here.
I like how you summarized our entire, like, way back.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and as I was walking back, I refilled my drink, extra calories. As we were walking about, I put my drink in my pocket.
And then
I know how that sounds. It's like a fountain drink, too. So it's not like a bottle. I put it in my pocket. I know how that sounds. But it's just like
a bad idea.
It's a good idea.
It's a bad idea
when you think of it logistically.
No, it's a bad idea.
So I had my drink in my pocket, and I kept forgetting.
But wait, there's no logistics behind.
There's logistics.
No,
have you looked at the analytics,
bro? I don't need what?
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, what was I saying?
They made a law because people kept putting ice cream in the back pocket.
I found a reason why.
I found a reason why.
You just got your hands full.
There
was no other choice. I had to. No, I'm kidding. This isn't Alabama. I don't have to worry about that stuff.
No, it was. I think it was South Carolina actually.
No.
Do you know why that law was
Alabama.
made? No. Do you know why that law was made anyway?
Why?
It was because back in the day.
I'm not in the back.
Back in the day.
There's a back.
Okay, let me get to the point. Back in the day.
Okay.
When people rode horses around everywhere.
They'd freeze their horses.
No.
People
could rob their other people's horses by putting ice cream in their back pocket, and the horse would smell it, and the horse would follow them.
That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Just grab a carrot, my guy. Like, you know how much it costs to buy ice cream now?
So they had to outlaw putting ice cream in your back pocket because people were doing it. They were stealing horses, man. They're stealing horses.
I can do that now with a carrot.
It's because no one's feeding ice cream to horses nowadays, so they don't know. It's like,
why were they?
First off,
who figured out? You know what? Ice cream. Ice cream will be our tactic.
Bro, it was 5 cents for an ice cream cone.
5 cents.
Yeah,
that is robbery.
They were like, I can make a killing.
I stole
selling
from that
the horse
man in that booth over there.
You know what I'm saying? Like they could make a killing.
Couldn't be me.
With the horse,
I'd be the guy selling the ice cream. And my advertisement would be like, steal your next horse, buy here. Get your new noble steed.
That's a bad idea.
And it's like some guy walking around with a donkey because he didn't know what a horse was.
that would I could see that happening.
Yeah,
that'd be you
with the donkey. Yes.
Yeah, you'd have a donkey pulling the ice cream cart.
Yeah. And then my advertising on the side: steal your next horse. Steal your next horse, and have a snack after.
You put racing stripes on the side of the donkey.
Oh yeah. Wait, they didn't know what racing stripes were. People are using horses. That's so smart of you.
Get these stripes on the side of the horse.
What is it, like a Ford Mustang? Like, what is this? It's a donkey. It's not even a horse. You know what a Mustang is?
That'd be really.
It's a horse.
It's a custom horse.
It's a custom Mustang. It's a donkey. I got it off Kijiji.
They didn't have Kijiji back then.
I know. So imagine how that must have been.
It's just some guy named Kijiji.
Just some guy in the back alley barns selling out the donkeys as makeshift horses. That's some black market donkeys. What are we talking about?
That's what we need. Anyway,
back alley donkeys. That's what we need.
That's what we. That would be great. That'd be a great vlog.
Anyone needs it.
No, that'd be a great vlog. Imagine you pull up some alley and there's just like a bunch of donkeys everywhere. You're like, what's going on?
Insanity. Also, where'd you get all the donkeys from?
You'd be so confused because of all the donkeys. You'd be like, what's going on?
Yeah, no,
how did this happen?
I'd still make a purchase.
for 5 cents.
5 cents donkey, yeah.
That's a cheap donkey.
Yeah, I'd flip the donkey. Well, not flip I'd flip the pricing of the donkey.
I was gonna say, I'm like, you're flipping the donkey.
It's not like tipping a cow. It's not that easy.
Tipping a cow. Oh man. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That was
our week.
Obviously, now without the donkeys.
Without the donkey thing, of course. That was all hypothetical. What else did we do? We went for a walk.
Yeah.
And then we talked about a whole hypothetical scenario.
Yeah.
So I was thinking we discuss our plan technically, without giving too much detail so that people don't copy us and write a book out of it or a movie or star me as their main character. Actually, you know what? Maybe take my idea, star me as your main character.
Right.
Anyways, so apocalyptic scenario. Okay.
One.
Wait, one? Chapter 1. My okay. chapter 1. My first apocalypse.
Because there's gonna be more than one.
Well, I could have gamed an entire apocalypse, so technically it's my first.
Bro, honestly, apparently we're already in the post-apocalyptic world.
I'm not gonna discuss that right now. I'd like to not address that community at this time. I'd like to refrain. I'd like to keep my listeners, please and thank you. Not unless you're racist, then go.
It's the same thing with the flat earthers.
I would not like to address this with the community as of this moment because I like to keep my viewership.
Your viewership,
my listenership, if that's even a thing.
Okay, so getting back to the post-apocalyptic.
So this is the hypothetical we had. Okay, the Thanos snap happens,
right?
But it's not half the population. It's to reduce the population to 100 people.
Right.
I so happen to be one of the 100, and my brother so happens to be one of the 100. What do we do? So there's a few things that we thought about as soon as this happens.
Right.
Us being intellectuals thought, well, we got to rob a bank. No, I'm kidding.
There's money's useless now.
No. So the first thing we did, what was the first thing we said?
The first thing we did was find a base camp.
Right. So
we live near an airport.
So
we're like, let's take the airport, and that would be the base camp because
there's also a lot of flat land around.
There's a lot of flat land around it already, so you could cultivate.
Yeah.
If the need were to arise, and then we basically just stockpile, set up.
Yeah. So the first step we do is all of a sudden we'd notice our city getting quiet.
Right.
So we'd have to go outside and be like, what's going on? You know what I'm saying? Like, go outside and be like, Manolo. And then just no one answers, So then
some guy runs out of a corner. I'm that guy.
I'm one of the 100. Okay, cool for you. What's your name? Manolo. Great, you're on the team.
So you can keep yelling Manolo.
Anyways, so we'd go around. Well, first we said we'd take a car.
Yeah.
And we'd drive around to see if there was anybody else.
Right. Okay.
Knocking on a few houses.
Yeah. No. So the first thing, I said the first thing we should do.
Yeah.
Well, actually, you said the first thing we should do is go to a radio station.
And
then tell people where we are.
Yeah.
Where we're heading. Where the base camp's at.
Yeah.
That's what we agreed upon. And then, I was like, okay, so I think the first thing we should do.
Yeah.
Is hit up hospitals. Because you also need medical supplies.
Yeah.
But not only that. I'm like, what if one of the 100 people who somehow survived the snap ends up being like a baby in like the in the maternity ward, and then I'm like, at which point that baby is doomed if no one goes and checks them out.
Yeah. So that was like critical thinking.
Yeah.
Like beyond critical thinking that we thought of. So now we have a looping thing on radio.
Yeah.
Also, not to mention the fact since everybody just disappeared, there's still power.
Right.
The internet's still on.
Right.
So we still have YouTube.
Right.
So I could literally just Google search how to survive the apocalypse.
Which is
there's that one guy.
Which is what we're not gonna do.
There's that one guy, but we're not gonna do that. So using our brains together, 2 brain cells, hand in hand, we go out into the world. Around the corner to the grocery store. And we grab all the non-perishables.
So anything canned, really.
Anything canned, we put that in deep storage, and we start eating all the fresh produce daily. Because
you're kind of on the clock for that sort of stuff.
Yeah, because that stuff begins to rot quickly.
Yeah.
So our idea was, okay, everyone's gone. What are going to be some major concerns that we're going to have? So we start looking at the cans. We realize, well, okay, now mind you, this was on a walk. My brother and I were talking about.
We also happened to walk into a grocery store at the time.
Yeah. So we're like, how long does a can last for?
Yeah. So you just started grabbing cans.
Yeah, so like 5 to 8 years.
Yeah.
Is a good can. So we're like, okay, so we got like 5 to 8 years.
Yeah.
Of canned goods.
Right.
What are we gonna do after those years?
Right.
So we start thinking, okay, well maybe we got to start farming. We could drive out to a farm that already has everything we need.
Right. Also, well, the thing too is that we discovered that, we came to the realization that 8 years is enough time for us to start cultivating our own food.
Yeah.
Right. So we're like, you hit up a farm. There's nobody there anymore anyway.
Yeah.
Just take all their gear and then move to where we set a base camp, because the spot where we think would be a good spot, there's also like the river runs real close by.
Yeah.
So got access to water and all that stuff, right? And you just run a line from literally the river to where we are. So it's not that much of an issue. Also, we quickly discovered that while we're also setting up mass production of food, it also hit us that all the reactors in the area, after a while are kind of no, there's no maintenance happening.
Yeah, so those are all ticking time bombs.
Yeah.
Any like factory that with like steam or anything like that requires regulation would be a problem. So we realized, okay, power grid.
Yeah.
Is there a way we can shut off specific areas around us so that we can maintain ourselves safe?
Right.
So we decided, shut off a few different areas if we can, which we don't know how to do that. So thankfully YouTube it's available.
But it also occurred to us that like usually they have like, if you go into a reactor, I'm sure there's somewhere where they have a manual.
Yeah.
So
I read a manual.
No, we came to the conclusion that in order to shut off like half of these things, we're just gonna have to read a lot of manuals. Like the thing like that no one reads because there's like easy accessible information.
Yeah.
Is what we'd have to do essentially to survive.
Yeah. So shutting off reactors, that would be a concern.
Yeah.
Because we don't want it to go boom and then ruin our climate and then everyone dies. No, just a thought.
Take a couple steps back.
Yeah. So any form of reactors, any factories, they need to be shut down now.
Right. And obviously, we'd have to go through that. And I assume by then, we'd probably also have to travel to like nearby places as well.
Yeah.
We'd have to go to other provinces around because of the way weather works and the way like if radiation does for like if one reactor goes off, right?
Yeah.
Like the likelihood of it hitting us anyway because of like the wind and all that.
Especially from down up.
Yeah. So
really we'd have to drive down, Google search where all the reactors are, hit them up, shut them off,
and then just shut them all off. Like,
shut them off. Yeah.
Because it's just it would be too problematic further down the line. It would just essentially nuke us. So and then I'm like telling my brother, but like here's the big issue for me. I'm like, like if there's people on the other side of the world, like we're already doing this stuff, right? So we'd have to find a way to find out if there's people on the other side of the world, communicate with them, and then let them know, hey, we did this already.
Yeah.
Like you should probably take this into consideration. Like places like Russia, all over Europe, essentially.
Yeah.
Those places, I'm sure they have hundreds of thousands of them.
Yeah.
So you'd have to, go through and shut them all off.
Shut those off. Yeah.
Because it would just, it's too much, right? Or you just get all those people to meet us up, like meet us where we are, and then just like give up on all that.
Yeah, see, and here's the other thing now. We're not pilots.
Yeah.
We can't fly.
So
I barely know how to use a boat. What kind of?
How it works in
we
theory.
know how to use a boat. A boat's easier.
A
boat's way easier.
I mean, I know how to fly in theory.
In theory.
But in practice, it's a different story.
I mean, I played enough video games.
That's not enough.
That should be concerning to you.
That's not enough. There's no way that's enough.
So we'd have to, first off, make sure the world doesn't end.
Yeah.
Even though technically it has.
Make sure the second apocalypse doesn't trigger itself.
Yeah, so shut off a bunch of reactors. Make sure the world doesn't blow up itself. Worry about food.
Right.
And then if we run into people, how we could utilize those people as well.
Right.
To help us out, like help you kind of situation there.
Yeah.
Also, we'd probably hit up, just in case there's like bad individuals or anything like that, hit up a police station, ransack that place too.
Yeah. The other thing too, we discussed was like, at some point you'd also have to go check out the prisons.
Yeah.
Because what if an inmate's stuck in there, right?
Yeah, and we shut off the power grid and he gets out and he's some criminal.
Yeah, right. So we're like, we should probably check that out as well, right? So there's a couple of things that are on like the list, and obviously this is coming from like hyper, like deep thought into like all the different scenarios of things that could hypothetically happen.
Yeah.
And I don't even know how we got here, but I think it was interesting to see how much knowledge we have of like our surroundings and our environment as a whole, that we came to the conclusion
we'd survive.
How to survive.
Yeah.
We came to the conclusion of how we would survive and how we'd get through it. But at the same time, it was interesting to see all the all the way
Like in theory, we realized we need
all 100 people to
we
make
need
it happen.
all 100 people to legitimately work as a team.
Right, yeah.
Because if you think about how many reactors there are out there that could potentially overheat and, cause major climate issues that could kill us, you got to shut all those things off.
And then we also ran into the other issue about climate change.
Yeah. Yeah, so a sudden stop in the climate technically isn't beneficial to our climate.
Right.
Because technically it's a system, so we'd have to progressively shut things off.
Right.
To make it like balance itself out. And then there's also the issue of wildlife. Since the city's now quiet, you can't keep animals are going to start coming into the city.
Right,
so like coyotes, bears,
especially because of the area we live in, right?
Yeah.
We have all that stuff, right?
So all of those things could come in, become a problem. So also fabricating a way of making enough noise for them to stay out. All things we thought about.
Right.
And we'll be right back right after this break. This podcast is brought to you in part by Two Latin Brothers Podcast. You thought there wouldn't be a commercial, but there is. So make sure to follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. We'll see you guys right now.
And we're back.
We are back. Hopefully you enjoyed those brief messages.
Super brief messages.
It's been the same messages for the last while.
That we don't use, so we should definitely start using those.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? We all right. So back to the apocalypse thing.
Yeah. So we discovered animal life could become an issue as well. And mind you, this is all in a short walk that lasted a good 20 minutes?
I think it was half an hour.
Half an hour discussion about the apocalypse, and we joked around a bit about how if let's say we found some teenager,
right,
and then he's just looking for food because he ran out of food or something,
right.
We find him, and then we'd probably take him in or something.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too, another thing we also considered was if there's a group of a small group of people who are surviving on their own, eventually they would have to start looking for us, or other survivors, because say they chose to stay secluded on their own.
Yeah.
Eventually they'd run into the issue where all the food would be expired.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't be able to self-sustain anymore. And that kind of
not unless they thought of the same idea as we
right
did.
Unless they thought of the same idea. But if they're living off going store to store,
yeah,
right, eventually everything's just rotten.
Yeah.
Right. So you'd have to there would come a time where they would try to find other people,
yeah,
who have already settled. Honestly, I think that's actually the smart play.
Yeah.
Survive on your own as long as you can, and only go look for someone until you need to.
Yeah.
Someone who's already got an infrastructure, they got power, they got they got all the amenities necessary to survive, right? So it is challenging though.
Oh yeah, for sure.
There are a lot of hurdles you'd have to jump over. Just the fact that same thing with medication. At one point, medication would expire. Yeah. And if you need that for whatever reason,
pull out a pill press.
Pull out a pill press. He's just out here. No,
but make it from scratch.
We quickly discovered there's a lot of things that humanity, because there's so many of us,
life is easier.
Yeah, life is a lot easier.
For example, let's say we run out of food.
Right.
You need someone who can grow food.
Mm-hmm.
Has that knowledge.
Yeah.
Right. You need someone who knows how to keep animals out. Right.
Right.
You need someone who knows technology.
Right.
To maintain power.
Mm-hmm.
You need someone who knows any form of medical knowledge in case someone gets sick.
Right.
Right. In case, medicine is required or anything like that. You need someone who knows that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention the fact that technically we would never get bored if power was still on.
Right. Yeah. We also discussed that how there's so much entertainment nowadays. We would have every generation would have at least 20 years of solid good entertainment. Yeah. Where they would just never be bored. You turn on the TV and you got every kid's cartoon on Disney Plus. This isn't even an issue, right? And you'd probably and then this is the other thing we ran into where you'd have to find a way to access all this stuff. Yeah. Without it ever shutting off, right?
Yeah. So, and also the fact that their subscription bases are automatic. Yeah. So technically money isn't a thing anymore, so you're not making money anymore. Right. So figuring out a way to make that free so you can just access it.
Right, because there's no point anymore.
There's no point of paying.
Yeah. And obviously, you'd probably end up at first some sort of barter system. Yeah. But I think all of these things are things that only people who live in our general time.
Yeah.
Think of all of these things are obviously hypothetical, but in the long run, it can get really bad. Like the CO2 level thing we talked about with climate change. All of a sudden, there could be tornadoes everywhere.
Yeah.
Right. So it can really mess up.
Like all of a sudden have acid rain.
Right. And then we were talking about this. I'm like, wait a minute. What about all the oil rigs in the ocean?
Yeah.
Like all of these. And if those, like you'd have to have someone go check those out, shut them off, because if those break, those could be huge ecological disasters.
Yeah.
And it also not only ruins the ocean's environment, it also ruins all the shorelines.
Yeah.
So you're killing fish, which is also a commodity which we will need because we need to survive, right?
Yeah.
There's a food source there that is untapped essentially because we're not eating anymore. So that would kind of actually, humanity disappearing like that and us trying to live off the land for the first little bit would basically balance out all the all the populations in the ocean.
Yeah.
Would kind of balance out.
Yeah, for a little bit until something goes wrong.
Right, until an oil rig just bursts or something.
Yeah.
But
see, that's also another thing. We don't know how long an oil rig can last.
Right.
Without maintenance.
Right, and that was the other thing. I'm like, there's another manual. We gotta
that's another manual.
4 manuals already.
Also, how to get out there. Right?
Yeah, you'd have to get a helicopter to get out there.
Yeah. So all the things you have to think
also,
about.
like all the boats.
Yeah.
That are in the ocean.
Yeah.
Eventually, would get pushed to some sort of coastline.
Sure. Yeah.
And if one of them's an oil freighter.
Yeah.
Excuse me. If one of those is like an oil thing.
Yeah.
That's just another disaster waiting to happen.
Yeah.
Right? So obviously, there's all of these things that could happen, and that can go wrong in this scenario. And mind you,
after a few, depending on how many years it takes.
Right.
If there was no one to worry about those things.
Yeah.
The world would kill itself.
Yeah. Eventually.
Because of man.
Right. All of this. It's because a lot of our systems aren't made to last forever.
Yeah.
Because we know there'll be people.
Yeah.
It's like the radiation stuff, right?
Yeah.
All of these reactors are meant to have maintenance every couple of years because they're built like that. Because we knew it was just more beneficial for us.
Yeah.
Because if we knew that if we made them forever, and one day we discover a better a way to collect energy that doesn't require us to basically nuke ourselves, we would just shut it off, right? And that's why every couple of years we do maintenance, or if we deem it we don't need it anymore, we just shut it off, and we don't use it anymore. So that was kind of the logic, the logic behind it, right?
Yeah.
And it makes sense, right? So, but at the same time, it's like, well, actually, now that nobody's there, it's just it's
just there to kill us.
It's like, any second, man. This is go really
ticking
bad.
Time bomb. You're welcome.
Yeah. So, I mean, these are the sorts of things that no one thinks about in post-apocalyptic movies.
Oh yeah. See, because like in a zombie apocalypse, you're too worried about being eaten alive.
You know what's crazy? We didn't even have the zombie scenario.
Yeah, we didn't even have the zombie problem.
Yeah.
And there was so many problems.
Yeah.
And then you're like, throw in zombies in there, and you're doomed.
Yeah,
it's basically impossible.
There's already there's enough problems already with like everybody gone.
Yeah.
It's just it's because the other thing too is we plan to achieve the society we live in now.
Yeah. Or
to have the same accommodations.
Yeah.
As we have now eternally. So that's the other thing too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cell phones. The other thing too I was telling my brother is
eventually,
because of satellites, there's no one's course correcting them anymore.
Yeah.
So eventually they just hit like the space station would just fall on us one day.
Yeah.
Right?
Not unless it's already automatic, because we're not really sure.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty sure it's manual.
It's manual still?
I think it's manual. I'm pretty sure.
We don't know.
But I'm like, in that situation,
the things to worry about.
Yeah, right. And what if one of the people who survived is stuck on the space station?
Stuck on the space station. Yeah.
What are you supposed to do to that?
Like, what kind of signal is he supposed to get?
Yeah, right.
So that's another thing we talked about, posting on social media.
Right.
Because we'd be the only recent thing.
Right. Yeah. So
after about a week, you'd realize, oh, it's not refreshing, and then if you upload something, the algorithm will be like, oh, it's the one thing.
Yeah. So it's obviously it is a lot of hurdles to like jump over, right? And the other thing too is having to access like a lot of these servers, they run well alone, like but eventually they need maintenance.
Yep.
Just like everything else. So
it reaches a hiccup.
Right. Something goes wrong. It's just one day that that the hard drive died and whatever.
Yeah.
Or the server itself dies. Right.
Yeah.
So there's a constant need to be aware of all of our technology.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how we rely on it so much now, especially the Google thing.
Oh yeah.
Like you'd have to find a way to keep Google on forever.
Yeah.
Because if I run into a hiccup, I just Google it.
Yeah.
And now and to think Google, it became a verb. Like
yeah, I know.
It's not even that it just became popular.
Yeah.
It's the fact that we use it like a verb.
Yeah.
Right? We just tell people, "Hey, Google that," or I don't know how to do something. They're like, why don't you just Google it?
Yeah.
Like and that to us is so normal.
Oh yeah. Like
So,
if you don't know how to figure something out, you just gotta Google it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is that if you make the Google search,
Yeah.
and the little tabs,
Yeah,
you go to video, you can see on how to do it.
Yeah. Step by step.
It's gotten to the point now where
Maybe you can even trust the wiki how.
I mean, yeah, right. I mean, and that's just kind of like our insight scenario.
Yeah. It's a rough time.
It's a rough time.
Even without zombies, because that's the main concern for people.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, this is what I do for a zombie apocalypse, this and that. But then you don't realize all the surrounding things.
Yeah.
That can go wrong, that can affect you.
Right, and the other thing too, we were talking about, I'm like, to get around would be so annoying.
Yeah, because that was also another thing we were saying. Let's say we want to change locations from where our base is, and we want to get on the highway, but it just so happened the snap happened at traffic hour.
At rush hour, it's like 5:00.
So I get on the highway to go where I need to go.
Yeah,
and there's cars everywhere.
Just like a fleet of cars.
I'd have to break into every car.
Yeah, move it out of the way. Or take everything out of the car I have now, and then pray to God that the car at the end is full on gas. Right.
And then get into that car.
It probably wouldn't, because by then it'd be long. All the cars are on.
Yeah. So that's also another thing. All the cars are off.
Yeah.
So I need to grab an extra battery in the car I have, if I know I can't do that, and pray that it fits. It's the right size battery.
Yeah. And also fuel up that car in order.
Yeah, and fuel up that car, because it burned the fuel and burned the battery.
Yeah.
All things that no one thinks
just
about.
So much stuff. There's so many like little things that when you really think about it, I'm like, man, that just like it is like, oh.
Also, if there was like people in the plane, that plane crashed.
Right.
So anywhere near an airport that was just near takeoff, there's an accident there.
Yeah, and if it hit a forest, huge fire.
And now there's a huge fire. See, all these scenarios that people don't think about.
Right.
See, because in a zombie,
it's the same thing with like water.
Yeah.
Like any sanitation center.
Yeah.
If it goes more than I think 6 months without maintenance done on it.
Yeah.
Like water,
you're just cycling dirty water.
Yeah. You're just. It's not even clean water anymore.
Yeah.
So you can't even trust your taps after a certain amount of time. So it becomes a living nightmare.
See, but that's technically a scenario with Thanos snap and the zombie apocalypse. Because if it's just the zombie apocalypse, people in the air, would still be able to drive. And
yeah, they'd
in the
be
cars
fine.
until they get home, right? Unless someone decides, you know what, run out of your car, start running like crazy.
I think in this, I notice in every zombie apocalypse situation, we run into instances where just most of the population ends up dying off. Yeah, because of the zombie. So there's a huge amount of people who end up dead or as zombie, as we say. So you run into you often see the scenario where a family member gets bitten. Yeah. And then you have to relieve them.
You have to unalive them.
Because of YouTube. And then so you run into these situations where you have to unalive a lot of people. Yeah. To prevent the spread. But this is something I was thinking about. And I don't know if they've done this on Walking Dead, because I've never seen The Walking Dead. Yeah. And it's occurred to me. Yeah. When a zombie is a Walking Dead body. Uh-huh. Right? Walking Dead bodies rot. Yeah. And technically, after a couple of months, all the zombies wouldn't be able to move.
See, but here's the thing. I get where you're coming from. Yeah. But it's what's keeping the body alive. Okay. That keeps it from rotting.
Okay, so you're saying it's a semi-rotten body.
Well, it could be that the body never even started to rot.
Okay.
So let's say because let's use a real zombie.
Okay.
Let's not go with what TV shows us.
Right.
They're all bloody for some weird reason.
Yeah,
because it is after a single bite you can turn like in seconds.
Yeah, it's
right.
Like
So let's say it spreads like a virus.
Right.
It just starts to spread within your body, right? As a normal virus would, your body would start reacting to it. Eventually, the virus kills your brain, and then takes your body as a host.
Right.
So your body's still functioning. Technically, you'd look like a normal human. You'd look like a brain dead human.
Just like a chunk out of your arm missing, because that's where you got the bite.
Like, I mean, I guess, yeah, sure.
or you're missing a chunk out of your neck.
Yeah, but let's say the virus knows how to maintain your body.
Right.
Right. So your body's still cycling your blood.
Right.
So let's say you're bleeding out from there. It's gonna heal if it's not like a deep bite or anything like that.
Right. So okay. So that would be like not a movie zombie.
Yeah, because for some reason zombie movies.
I mean, they're already
all bloody.
I mean, zombies are real
in a sense.
In ants.
In ants.
Because there's a fungus that does this.
Yes, and you can see that in The Last of Us.
Yeah, is it?
Yeah, in The Last of Us.
I didn't know. Okay, so but there are
fungi that mutates over with heat and stuff like that.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't know. In real life, there is a fungus that can basically take over ants.
Yeah, and
control them. It's actually really creepy. And thank God it hasn't evolved or anything.
Yeah.
But
there's a new theory on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That can kill us.
Heat. Creatures are designed to mutate.
Right.
Just to survive.
Right.
Right. And with climate change, the biggest problem with fungi is that they can't survive temperatures over a specific height.
Yeah.
Right. On the scale.
Right.
So technically, with climate change, we could be training this fungi to live in higher temperatures and then take over our bodies progressively.
Right.
So technically, this is a very real scenario that The Last of Us, the show / video game, or video game / show before I get hated on.
Yeah.
it's very much possible.
Right.
This is a scary thing that totally could happen.
Right. And obviously, I mean, I'm not an expert.
There is no cure.
I don't claim to be.
Because we've never seen it before.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
the
whole COVID thing.
Yeah,
unprecedented.
Yeah,
there's a lot of things that I think are unprecedented that just kind of happened, and we just accepted it.
Yeah,
think about 1,000 years. 1,000 years ago when the Ice Age happened.
Yeah,
well, it was more than 1,000 years, obviously.
Yeah,
but it was there's even like the 6,000 year flood.
Yeah,
how they at one point 6,000 to 7,000 years ago, the whole earth was flooded.
Yeah,
and you go, so how did the people survive?
Yeah,
and then you look back and China's got a story about it.
Yeah,
there's the biblical account of it.
Yeah,
and then there's even
there's
some
many accounts of it within different countries and cultures.
Right, even the natives have stories about it. Right.
Yeah.
So you go, oh man, so this actually happened. This isn't just
this could have happened.
This actually happened. Oh, this is terrifying, right?
Yeah.
And then there's the whole meteor hits, right, where certain sections of Earth, like in the Earth layering, are just ash.
Yeah.
And you're like, so that just kind of happened.
Yeah.
Right. So
see, those are all things that happened that you never truly
right. Yeah.
process.
Well, because you weren't alive for it.
Yeah.
Right. But we have,
and it's also like that just our scenario alone.
Right.
For example, COVID.
Yeah.
There was a guy who was in a coma, pre-COVID.
Yeah.
And then woke up, basically just coming out of COVID.
Yeah.
And he's just like, "There's no way, I don't believe it."
Yeah.
Because technically, our lives basically sound like a movie.
Yeah.
There was a world pandemic.
Yeah.
Donald Trump was president.
I mean, I guess, yeah.
Of the United States of America. There was rumors of World War III in the starting of the year before COVID.
Of 2020.
Of 2020.
There was January of 2020. World War III was going to happen.
Yeah.
And then in March of 2020, we were all locked up.
Yeah, we were all locked up. We were all forced to stay indoors. We were all told to wear masks.
Right.
There was no cure, no vaccine. There's nothing.
Yeah.
So, to this man waking up, there's no way.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. All right, bro, real quick.
Yes.
Let's talk about Mando.
Mandalorian has come out. If you haven't watched it yet, we're not going to spoil it. Don't worry. Just know it's good. If you haven't watched Boba Fett, you probably should.
We discovered that.
Thank you, Shane.
We should have him on the podcast sometime.
Yeah, we really should. Yeah, you realize that there's a few episodes of Boba Fett that are basically Mandalorian episodes.
Are basically the Mandalorian.
They're basically Mandalorian episodes.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate. I like the Mandalorian.
Felt great.
Good episode. Good episode. Good way to start off.
Yeah, I feel like they've really figured out this TV Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like TV Star Wars, that's good stuff.
Also, it looks good
Yeah.
for a TV show production.
The last episode of Boba Fett.
Yeah. They spent money on that.
Yeah, they went all out on that. I was surprised. Like,
you know what I don't like slightly?
What?
The way they manage Grogu.
Yeah.
His motion.
Yeah.
His movement still feels.
Sometimes it looks really good.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's a little janky. Like you can tell.
Yeah.
Like you can tell it's CGI'd.
Yeah.
But I mean, I like that they put in like for those certain scenes that look really good.
Yeah.
I like that they put in that effort, right?
Yeah.
It's like because we can make it all look like this, but
Yeah.
we'll give you like little.
It's just like it's technically like it's a constant reminder to me that it's still a show.
Right.
Right. They don't have a movie budget for a show.
I mean, yeah.
Right. It's still a show.
Yeah.
Because it keeps that solidified like TV and movie.
Right. Yeah.
So let's say there was a movie that came out.
Yeah.
In relation to Star Wars with Mandalorian and Boba Fett and all those people.
Yeah.
If they made a movie, incorporating all those things, that's when they could, go that one step further. Motion is more clear and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just a little distinction. But
for sure.
Anyways, absolutely loved episode 1, season 3, Mandalorian.
Yeah, it was good.
Great. Big fan.
Big fan.
Big fan.
Big fan.
Big fan.
I don't know. I felt it was too short to be the first episode.
I don't know. I felt good.
Bro, it was like 30 minutes.
It was enough to get me through.
I think it was. I don't even think it was 30 minutes. I think it was less because of the credits. They're kind of long, but
yeah.
I mean,
also that too. If you're watching the last episode of Boba Fett because you haven't watched it yet, stay tuned. There's an end credit scene for the last episode.
Right. Yeah. I stumbled upon that by accident.
Yeah.
Because you're like, I'm gonna go to the washroom right back. I'm like, okay, and I just left it playing.
Yeah, and then
noticed all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I paused. I'm like, it's still going.
Yeah. There's a little scene there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so have fun with that. I don't know what you can do with that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. If you're not watching the Mandalorian,
if you're not a big fan of Star Wars, then this whole thing was basically relevant to you. But if you are a big fan of Star Wars,
and if you want to get into Star Wars, I mean, you should check it. I mean, it's pretty good.
Yeah. Anyways, guys, we're going to wrap this up. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Everything's in the description. It'll be up, down, left, to right. Make sure to share with your grandmother, share with your rooster, share with your dog, share with your Pikachu, share with everybody and everything. And we'll catch you guys next week. Peace.
Bye.